Dory 1, this is Fire Team Delta. Dad's coming home.
Welcome to the Military Veteran Dad Podcast, where it is our mission to bring every dad home. I am your host, Ben Killoy. I'm a United States Marine veteran, husband, and a father. We will bring authentic conversations to inspire action in your life so we can close the gap between the dad you are today and the dad you want to be tomorrow. This is the Military Veteran Dad Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of Fatherhood Friday. It's glad to be back on the microphone. It's always good when Friday wraps up because one, it's Friday and you get the weekend, but then it's just Friday. You're concluding the wins, the goals, everything that has happened throughout this week. It's your time to celebrate. It's your time to let go of whatever you had during the week and step into your best self on the weekend. And as we talk about a lot in the podcast, just be dad and love what's going on with the podcast. I want to honor someone because today is National Military Spouse Appreciation Day. And this week is a little bit busy week because there's also Teacher Appreciation Week. But something that we don't get a lot of recognition for is the military spouse. And on the other side of a great military dad is a stronger military wife. They put up with a lot of stuff from their husband, us, aka, but also they have to just hold it together in a way that very few wives have to in this world, because they have to learn to live months at a time without someone. They have to be the mom and the dad for 8 months, a year, maybe it's only 8 weeks, whatever it may be. They have to assimilate a lot of roles, and they have to learn to live without their person that they've committed to for a long time. And I just want to honor you, the military spouse, because we have quite a few military spouses listening to this episode and the podcast as well. And I know that this value helps you because when you can understand someone else, like your husband potentially, that could maybe help you create what I call an empathy bridge and help your husband come home, or maybe it just helps you understand what his world is like, or maybe you just enjoy the conversation. Whatever it may be, I want to honor you for taking the time to listen to the podcast because I know that you have a lot of things going on in your life. So when you take time out of your day, there's one particular military spouse that I know she's out there listening to this episode, and her name is Amanda Huffman because she listens to the military or Women of the Military podcast, and she's the host of that podcast. And I know that she messaged me a couple times saying that she's always listening to this podcast while she's mowing the yard. I appreciate her. She's always out there listening. She's always out there giving me feedback on the content, and it's just really great to have those people out there that believe in what you do, that help reinforce it and breathe life back into you. Because the podcaster, let's be real, it can get pretty lonely as a podcaster. So let's get started with today's episode. Today's episode is titled, Life is a Lot Like a Barrel of Monkeys. And what do I mean by that? And I mean a barrel of monkeys like the game. So the kids' game, if you think of a barrel of monkeys, imagine that monkey in your hand, and there's always one hand up on that monkey, and there's always one hand down on that monkey. That monkey is essentially the representation of how you need to show up in your life every day. Because what you don't realize when you transition, or really whether you're in the military listening to this or not, it doesn't matter. This principle applies that as you go through life, I want you to understand that what you want to achieve, whatever it may be, your goals, your objectives, whatever those objectives are, those objectives can't be achieved alone. You may be able to achieve some momentum, but that momentum can only take you so far. And you need people around you. You need a strong network. We've talked about a lot on the podcast, having a strong network. I've even dropped a friendship episode way back in November. Why friends and why we need them. Those are so important. And when you think about a barrel of monkeys, this is a symbol of how you need to show up as a friend. You always should have one hand up, which means that you're always reaching to the people above you, that there's always one person higher than you that you're striving to, that you're looking forward to be, to emulate in your life, to be that person. And the idea that you're always climbing means you're always growing. And if you're always growing, then you're achieving bigger and better things with your life. And that can be so powerful because if you don't have someone that you're trying to become or identify or reach some plateau in life and climb that mountain called life, what are you doing? You're really just hanging around at 1,000 feet waiting for someone to come get you. Got news flash for you. There's not going to be someone to come get you. You need to be able to climb yourself. And the fastest way to climb that mountain is to reach up and reach up to the people above you, help them get what they need, and they will help get you what they need. Now, the other part of the barrel of monkeys is the hand down. Now, it's a very symbiotic relationship with this, that you always have one hand up where you are climbing the mountain. But never, ever forget that there is someone just inches below you, just passing the point that you just conquered. Maybe it's that point that took you months to figure out. Maybe it's that point that took you years to figure out. Right now, there is someone just inches below you where you just passed that they are still trying to figure that out. And when you have this idea of being a barrel of monkeys, you understand that you are climbing. You have goals. You have objectives for your life. You have objectives for your family of what you want your life to look like. But you can never forget that there's people behind you. There's people that maybe were at your spot in life, but they fell backwards and they need someone to pick them up. That can be so important. And the most important part when you think of this idea is essentially you're building your own mini tribe. That in your tribe, you have people ahead of you and you have people behind you. And by being a resource inside that tribe, to have people above you that you're looking forward to and helping them climb, but then you're also looking backwards and helping the people below you. Because let's be real about something. As fathers, husbands, and as men in the year 2020, it can be so easy to fall into the pit. It can be so easy to fall into the pit where if this is Friday for you and you're coming home from work, maybe you are in the pit that you came home from a job that you don't like. Maybe you're in the pit because you lost your job. Maybe you're in the pit because you just had a bad deck of cards handed to you. Whatever it may be, however you fell in that pit is real. That pit is something that you feel inside your soul, and it feels lonely as hell. And when you feel that feeling, all you want is that one hand to reach down in that pit and give you that hand to help you up. And it can feel so lonely at the bottom. That pit is where we need to keep our hand in the bottom of our barrel of monkey idea. Because when you help people up from that pit, they will never forget you. There's a rule that I like to bring into networking friendship that people will never forget what you... Let me start that over. People won't remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. How you made them feel is what you were there. You reached your hand into that pit and helped them up. Maybe they fell down 3 rungs on the ladder. You reaching your hand, being there in that exact moment that they needed a friend, that is the barrel of monkeys concept. And you know what? The people above you, they often need someone to help as well. Like, just because someone's climbing the mountain doesn't mean that they're not going to fall back down. And so by creating this relationship, creating this idea of brotherhood, that you are climbing the mountain together, and if someone does fall down, you're going to be there. If you've ever learned or watched anything on climbing or free climbing a mountain or climbing any real mountain, there's a lot of times where they set up a ropes team that everybody has a connection to that rope. And if someone slips and falls, the other team holds the weight of the person that is no longer anchored to the mountain. Think about that for a second. When you slip, what if when you slipped, you only fell a few feet instead of all the way back to the bottom? What if you were a barrel of monkeys, a chain of monkeys? Not in the idea that you are a monkey, but in the idea that you are a chain of barrel of monkeys. What if you were that monkey that was this linchpin, that we were in this together, that we were climbing this mountain to the top to reach that pinnacle, whatever objective and goal you have in your life, whether it be to be the best dad that you can be, whether it be the best employer you can be, whether it be the best CEO, whether it be the best employee, whatever it may be, it happens in a team environment. That team environment is where you really push the needle. It's where you strive to stay together. It's where you're not going to quit. I can't tell you how many days I just came home and I just wanted to quit. But you know what? When you have other people around you counting on you, and you have other people that you can lean on when you have a bad day, that is how you can really change your life. Because there's something that I love repeating, and it's often never repeated enough, that for millennia we survived in tribes, that men did life in tribes. We hunted, we gathered, we learned, we had people above us, we had people below us. There was always this environment of learning. That learning, that tribe, is how we survived. And it's only in the last 200 years that we really thought we could do it alone. And it's in our DNA to be part of a tribe. It's in our DNA to support one man to support another. There's also another good one that says iron sharpens iron, that one man sharpens another. That idea is what we're talking about here, where life is a lot like a barrel of monkeys. Because if you're going through life and you do not have one hand up and one hand down, then you really aren't showing up as a servant leader. And a servant leader is always looking for the people, looking for the helpers. That was something that Mr. Rogers said that I recently learned about, that when 2001 happened, or when September 11th happened in 2001, he did a video and said it to the world, because essentially the kids that he grew up with were looking for answers and he wanted to be there. And he said, in times of crisis, always look for the helpers. And if you look for, even now in COVID-19, we are naturally being drawn towards the helpers. Those are people that are acting in a team environment. They're doing things to make sure that no one falls down into the pit of this coronavirus, that they're all out there making sure everybody gets through, and hopefully that everybody that can get better gets better. That's what we're talking about here, where you can take a radical idea or as simple of an idea as a game of barrel of monkeys and always be thinking, when my hand is up, who am I reaching towards? Who am I really looking forward to or to emulating in the future? But then more important, I think it is that when your hand is down, who is behind you that you're helping? Who are you talking to help solve a problem that maybe you went through? Because what you quickly realize when you build a network is every problem that's out there has been solved. Nothing that I'm saying or anybody else saying or any influencer is saying is really that unique. In the history of spoken word, it's probably been said once before. But it's all about how we come together. That is the main idea. And if you're struggling with this idea, or you like this idea of barrel of monkeys, but you're like, you know what, Ben? I like this idea, but I'm extremely lonely right now. How do I really close this gap? How do I identify? Because right now, maybe you're saying to yourself, I don't have any friends. I don't have anybody that I can count on. I can't even tell you who my best friend is right now. Let me tell you, that was me when I turned 30. When I turned 30, my midlife crisis was that I was going to die alone. That at the end of my life, no one was going to be there other than immediate family to really say that my life mattered. And that was a turning point in my life, because it really allowed me to step into the problem, really, and then figure out what was going wrong. And what was really going wrong is I wasn't talking to people. I wasn't even trying. And that trying is really what changed my life. And for me, it started with Dads at the Park. If you think of a barrel of monkeys, the Dads at the Park, you've never had a better melting pot of dads at all kinds of different levels of life, where you just get to connect with one hand up, maybe one hand down, whatever mode that may be, and really just get to learn about yourself. And for me, Dads at the Park is where that changed it. And I'm excited to make this the very first episode where I talk about it. And I'm excited to keep bringing more of content similar to this. But I just launched freedadcourse.com. And at freedadcourse.com, the very first course that I'm launching is 5 lessons on how to create more friendships. They're simple lessons, about 10 minutes long. You can download it to your iPhone or Android and deliver it automatically right there. It's free. Go there, check it out. It's quick episodes of how I worked through my journey. It's different things of what you can do, different ideas of how you can essentially speed this process up, take my shortcomings, and it is for me putting my hand down, helping you, the dad, with friends, and how you can pull people up. Because when you can lift people up, they will never forget that feeling. Because more than what you said, they will remember how you made them feel. And with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up, and I will talk to you again on Monday.